Welcome to Greenable Woodbridge. I am your host, Carolyn Ehrlich. Today we are filming outside because we have something very important to talk about, especially now that summer's here, and that's pedestrian safety. And with us to talk about it is Sergeant Joseph Angelo. And so why is this so important? Can you share what pedestrian safety means and why it is so important that we're talking about this today?
Woodbridge Township is over 30 square miles. It has over 100,000 residents, much more than that during the daytime with the business hours. We have 2 downtown shopping districts. We have 3 high schools, 1 academy, 5 middle schools, over a dozen elementary schools, and that doesn't include all the daycare facilities, meaning there's a lot of people walking, especially children. Not that they're more important than anybody else, but that's our focus. We have crossing guard posts. We have different details in place to get them to school safety. We have different plans in place to make someone that's going from point A to point B the best and safest way they can. We have the National Transportation Safety Highway Association, which we call NHTSA, has come up with different programs. They give us statistics. Right now, their most recent data was in 2022. We've had they pretty much say 1 pedestrian dies every 70 minutes.
Oh my God, that's awful.
Yeah, and it's a tragedy that we try to avoid with the programs that we put in place, but that's the data that we give. And now the state, the county, and the township, we do what we can with certain markers and stop intersections and enhancements to make them cross safely to ultimately get to point from A to B.
But at the end of the day, safety comes down to the drivers and the pedestrians.
Yes, which is actually, I went on NHTSA's website yesterday to look up tips because they always change, and I actually have them where it's not just on the driver or the pedestrian, it's on both of them.
Yes.
One of our pet peeves is you have distracted driving. So it's part of the times now with the modernization of cars. So we focus on the distracted driving, and there's some tips for actually the drivers. First, you want to look out for pedestrians at all times. Look both ways. You're pulling out of a parking lot or anything like that. Use extra caution. Bad weather, raining, snow, especially at nighttime. A big thing is a lot of people have the auto lights, and some of my family members, they rely on the auto lights too much, where they just kind of drive off and sometimes their lights aren't on. So you always want to check the lights, especially if you're driving at night. Also, when you're approaching a crosswalk, you want to slow down. You don't know if someone's going to shoot out at the last minute. Sometimes you have elderly residents, some kids are crossing, parents with kids. They take a little bit more time. If a vehicle is stopped, and this is kind of something we look for a lot, and it happens, and this is kind of
see it on Main Street
not our pet peeve, but if you have a vehicle stopped, some people, believe it or not, are impatient. They want to go around that car and go through the crosswalk, and they're like, oh, I didn't see the pedestrian there. Well, the car in front of them was stopped for a reason, so we kind of go off of that. So that's kind of a big one. The obvious ones: do not drink and drive, especially with the legalization of marijuana now. Don't do drugs. A lot of people that are on even prescription medication, they feel it's still okay to drive. It's not. It's still impaired driving. Follow the speed limit, and especially in school zones, you want to follow the school zones. They do drop during school hours, so that's up to the driver as well. And also people don't realize this while backing up. No one pays attention while backing, especially in parking lots or a driveway. You don't see, and once again, back to technology, they rely on that camera. You know, some of them are better than others, but you have to almost go back to the old school way. Make sure you're looking both ways.
Yes. I noticed from myself, before all the laws went into effect, you really didn't pay attention, and then once they said you got to stop for pedestrian, you had to change your habits to actually start to look.
It's become a bigger awareness now, which is kind of part about this.
Which is wonderful, because you start to see it more and more that people really are paying attention. And sadly, just because the pedestrians don't always go to the crosswalks, you have to pay attention up and down the street.
Bringing that up, it's not always just on the driver, it is on the pedestrian also. So NHTSA actually came out with tips as well for the pedestrians. If you're driving down the road, you think of a speed limit sign or a stop sign, you know the driver has to stop. Those signs are also designed for pedestrians. There are don't cross, the beacons. Those are actually for the pedestrians as well. So same as the driver, pedestrians have to follow those guidelines as well. If there's a sidewalk available, I can't tell you how many times I see someone walking in the middle of the road when there's a perfectly good sidewalk available. Now, if a sidewalk is not available, you always want to walk against the flow of traffic at a safe distance. That's just a line of sight issue. Use crosswalks at intersections. That's the big one. You know, some people just skip the crosswalk. It's there for a reason. It's there to be done safely. Squeezing my own little bit of opinion convenient in there. A lot of people try to cut through the traffic in between cars. You pop out at the last minute. Try to cross where you're supposed to cross. That's why we have the crossing guard. Watch out for cars entering and exiting driveways.
Ooh,
That's same thing with the backing.
Yep.
You're walking down, a building's obstructing you. You kind of want to look around, make sure a car's not coming, and it works the same as the vehicle driver as well. They want to make sure pedestrians not coming as well. So it kind of works both ways. Same also with the drivers. Same with the pedestrian. Don't drink, don't use drugs while walking around a neighborhood. You lose your inhibitions a little bit. And a lot of people exercise now, or walk, or jog to work. You want to do that in a safe location.
Absolutely, thank you. It must drive you crazy, as it drives me when I'm driving, that there's a crosswalk right here, and you're going to cross right there.
They don't use it. They don't use
right.
it. Like we've had serious crashes and fatalities actually, where there was a crosswalk available at an intersection, and mainly on the highways, they don't want to walk the little bit of distance. They'll try to shoot across a highway, hop over the barrier, and it's nighttime. It's dark. It's tragedies occur. So that's what we're trying to stop. So
does the state have some programs?
Actually, yes. We were actually one of the pilot programs years ago. It was called Street Smart, still active. We were one of the original ones, and I believe there's over 250 different townships, colleges, and other sponsors that are involved in the program now. Pretty much Street Smart was not really for the driver, but for the pedestrian. Back to distracted pedestrian walking, so you have distracted driving. I can't tell you how many times you see people walk down Main Street or in another town where they are just looking down at their phones and not aware of their surroundings. So that is just a hazard to begin with, where they have to play a part as well. It doesn't always fall on the driver. It's going to fall on the pedestrian to cross safely and know their surroundings.
I used to love to watch, every once in a while you put a patrol out here, and you have somebody, a police officer, crossing the street, and you nab the people who don't stop.
Yeah, there's different names for it. Some of them are called cops on a crosswalk. They're also funded by the state, and it's not just enforcement. It's also it's also awareness, not just for the drivers, for the pedestrians. If you get stopped, sometimes summonses are issued. Sometimes it's a flyer, or sometimes you just have a conversation with whoever we're speaking to about, hey, this is what you did right, this is what you did wrong, and this is what we're looking for.
What would you say the most hazardous, dangerous thing out of all the things you listed? Which one is the worst?
The two I would be concerned with are the pedestrians coming between cars into the roadway. That one's just dangerous because there's no time reaction for a driver to respond. The other big one is back to the distracted driving, as well as the distracted pedestrian. If they're not paying attention, then it's not going to go well, especially if both of them aren't going to do it. If we can mitigate those two factors, I feel crashes, especially serious ones involving pedestrians, would dramatically decrease.
Great advice. So we have 1 minute left. How would you sum all of this up?
If you have an interaction with one of us, especially when in regards to pedestrian safety, don't take it in a negative light. It's not always about just an officer writing someone a summons for it. That's not the point. The point is there's a lot of people walking. While just speaking to you right now, almost a dozen people just walked by us in this 10 minutes. We want to educate, not just enforce, educate them, the pedestrians, the drivers, on what to do, what not to do, what these signs mean, what the laws are, because they are changing as time goes on. So these are the current ones, and if we get the awareness out there, then as long as we save a few lives, that's the goal. The goal is to get, if you're walking your kids to school, your goal is to get them to school. If you're walking home from work, your goal is to get home from work. So our awareness campaign, that's kind of our objective, is to make people aware of what's going on around them.
Well, thank you for being with us, and thank you for all the work you do.
No problem. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So stay with us, because we are going to walk back to the studio and talk about community policing. Welcome back. We are in the studio now with Detective Michael Harris, and he is going to tell us all about community policing. So what is the mission of community policing?
The mission of community policing in Woodbridge Township, as any other police department across the country, is just to bridge the gap between the community and the police department itself. It's a tremendous task. It's a very big undertaking in this town. A lot of students, a lot of kids, population is constantly growing. We spend a lot of time in schools, and we're ultimately trying to bridge the gap between the community and the department.
Tell me a little bit about what you do in the school.
So in the schools this year, we focus a lot of our time on the middle school and high school kids. You know, we go to an elementary school, and the kids, we're superheroes to them, right? They see the car, they see the uniform, it's glamorous to them. But the middle school kids and the high school kids, with that age comes a lot of different authority issues and things like that. And you know, we try to do things to get on their level, so to speak. We do different games. We do Cops vs. Kids dodgeball, Cops vs. Kids basketball. This year, I'm particularly proud of one thing that we did at JFK High School, which we've done at other schools in the past, is we met with a group of a dozen students at JFK High School every week. So one week we did a group of young men, and then a group of young ladies, and a group of young men, and so on and so forth. Every day, every week for about 5 or 6 months, and we got to know so many kids, and we got to establish so many relationships with these kids. And before we know it, we were at the JFK graduation yesterday, and I'm fist pumping everybody, and it was really great. Yeah, exactly, and it was something that we didn't have before.
Right.
And hopefully that's something that we can continue to do and expand within all the schools, and just develop and maintain those friendships, relationships, and trust. So that's the goal of being in the schools. So
it's got to change the attitudes.
For sure, and tremendously. You know, they come in, we talk about ourselves a little bit. We get them talking. It's understandable if you don't want to talk to me. I totally get that. But I think it's important for them to see who we are, where we're from, and just the fact that we are not much different.
Exactly.
We're not different at all, really.
In the same place, role models. Not everybody had a wonderful beginning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We were not always the greatest kids in the world. You know, I was a little tough kid growing up too. My partner as well. And we go, all the guys that come with me, they all have their story, and they're very similar to the kids, and they're very relatable.
Yeah.
So
that is terrific. So while we're talking about the kids,
yes,
let's go to Junior Police Academy.
So the Junior Police Academy, we're going on maybe year 14 or 15. We always forget when the summer comes up, but it's a great program. It's 2 weeks every summer in July. This year it's the second and third week, starts on the 8th and the 12th, or the 8th and the 15th rather. It's a great program. It's 50 kids per week. It teaches discipline, teaches teamwork, teaches just respect, overall respect. It's not your typical summer camp, that's for sure.
Not at all.
And you know, Monday and Tuesday they come in, and they're not very fond of it. But mom and dad push them, and we encourage them to come back, and they always come back. And if they don't, we go and get them. Mom and dad go and let us into the house, and we get the kids out.
Really?
It's happened.
Yep.
It's happened. Yep. Yeah. Detective Ransom and Detective Zeno used to go to kids' homes all the time and say, "Hey, you're not quitting. Let's go." And it was good.
I can truly picture that.
Yeah, because by Friday they were thanking everybody.
Exactly.
And they were saying, "Hey, can we come back next week?"
And you have some great stories of some of the graduates from there.
Yeah, actually, a lot of the graduates are police officers here now. So
fantastic.
You know, who knows, maybe that was their first and only interaction with the police. Maybe that's why they became law enforcement officers themselves.
That's great.
Who knows?
Now, you don't get too many law enforcement coming out of the senior police.
No. Very good. Very good. I like that. No, but, you know, the Senior Police Academy, we do that the first, every Tuesday in May. It's only run once a year. Hopefully, again, it's something that we can expand. I hope maybe do two times a year in the future. That's a great program. It allows the seniors to get some knowledge about what we do, how things are constantly evolving. We give them different tips, safety tips, grandparent schemes, elderly things on elderly abuse, things on DVRT, domestic violence response team that's head up here in Woodbridge by Walter Pearson. That's a great program.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's a great program. He comes in and he does some recruiting.
People don't realize that the older people are abused.
For sure.
It's awful.
Yeah, for sure. So he comes in and he brings his team of people. They come in and they always do a presentation, and it's, you know, we feed them, so
then you're good to go.
It's not the typical police academy,
right.
but they do different tours. They get the opportunity to meet the mayor, and he's here for a while. This year they were in there for a while.
I was in the office.
They were starting to grow roots into the
good
ground.
Questions.
Yeah, always. Yeah, and it was an opportunity for them to really sit down and have just a chat with him, and he always loves that, especially with the kids.
Seniors.
And the kids too.
Kids.
Kids. Yeah, he always starts out with, I don't care if you saw me at this, I don't care if you saw me at that, I want good, solid questions. So it's funny. And he gives the same spiel to the older people as well. So yeah, he's consistent, that's for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
I think you did a program with the seniors on scams and...
Yeah, so Detective Brian Vella came in, and he's kind of our expert on senior scams, home repair scams, distraction burglaries. He came in and he actually gave even a romance scam. I don't know anything about those, but there was like a senior romance scam that he taught them all about, and they had a good time. They asked him a lot of questions, and he knows his stuff. He's been in the Detective Bureau for a long time, so he's seen so many different things. Again, distraction burglaries, home repair, fraud, theft, you name it. I mean, again, you name it. He taught them as much as they could.
That's good.
As much as they can learn. Yeah, it was good stuff. And that's that is a good resource that we have, is that we can reach out to the Detective Bureau. We can reach out to narcotics to come talk to the kids, or to, it's just, we have all these resources. Why not use them? Right?
Exactly. And you are the ones that are getting all that information
out.
Yes,
we're the ones
job.
that are coordinating it. We're kind of, I'd like to call us like a fixer, right? We're kind of like fixers. If anybody has a problem and they're not sure who can deal with it, who can resolve the issue, they call Community Affairs, and we're typically the people that can do it. So we're kind of lucky, I guess we'd say.
Right. So what kind of calls do you get?
So a lot of the calls, radio patrol, you see cars out out on the road. You see the radio patrol guys responding to emergencies, calls for service, thefts in progress, crimes in progress. We are not responding to things like that unless we're in direct vicinity of where it's occurring. Right? We're not going to go flying down Main Street to get to a job if there's an officer already en route, unless we're close again.
Right.
So the issues that we are really dealing with are a lot of neighbor issues. I mean, a lot of people, they have a hard time living in peace and harmony with their neighbors, and unfortunately, there are not a lot of options when it comes to that. So we go out there and we try to just help them communicate with each other better. Communication is very difficult for people. So we go out and we try to give them as many resources as we can. The mayor gets emails all the time about complaints, about neighbor problems, and then we have to go out. We get the email gets funneled down to us. We have to go out and see if it's criminal, if it's civil, and kind of go from there to see how we can help, if we can even help, and if it's something that's civil, that's not police, police related, then we still try to help as best we can.
Right.
So
I know on occasion not only neighbor arguments, but a neighborhood could have, as a whole, have a concern.
For sure, loud noise, loud music, parking issues. This guy has 5 cars. This guy. We get, you name it, every complaint under the sun. We try to go out there and we try to resolve these things as best we can. So
not always easy.
It's not always easy. No, some are easier than others, but not all of them.
One of the things I say is try not to get in the middle of a neighborhood problem.
Exactly, and we have to be the bad guy.
And you're the ones that
let us be the bad guy.
Exactly.
That's our job, unfortunately. So I take pride in the ability to go out and be able to do that, and it's a privilege to be able to go and resolve people's issues.
So when it comes to crime prevention, I guess all of your outreach and education is part of that?
Absolutely. So we get a lot of different crime trends. So we're kind of in the know of what's going on around town. I mean, most people are. We worked with Catstrap. Catstrap is a product that protects your catalytic converter. We went out to all these different businesses earlier in the year, and I know the ordinance changed about the security gates at different businesses. So we went out there and we tried to help businesses prevent crime by installing those. With the ordinance change, that allowed people to do that. So that was a huge thing for them to do. things like that. Installing Ring doorbell cameras, better lighting, just cameras in general.
Yep.
I mean, we need
They make a big difference.
It makes a huge difference, and it can act as a deterrent as well.
Okay.
If I'm a burglar, I'm not. But if I see a Ring doorbell camera, I'm gonna move on. If I see good lighting, I'm gonna move on. I think. That's my opinion anyway.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
so
you'll get caught.
For sure.
So let's talk about, I think, probably one of your favorite parts of the job. You initiate or take part in or run so many great programs in town. I know wherever I go, sometimes I turn around and there you are.
There he is, yeah.
They're involved with it.
Yeah, well, you know what? We know about a lot of things. My partner and I, Officer Santoni, we get a lot of emails all day. We get invited to different things. And number one, I don't want to say no. How could you say no?
Right.
And it's good for people to see us. It's good to be visible. Detective Mark Zeno did the same thing. Detective Joelle Schlossberg years ago, she did the same thing. And it was just important to maintain that status of being out there, being seen, letting people see.
Right.
We got new vehicles that are beautiful. Everywhere we go, we get compliments about these things. So it's good that people see us out there doing these different programs, hosting things with kids, with seniors, with I'm going to Walmart next week and I'm going to get dunked in a dunk tank. I can't wait for that. We've never done that before.
Let me know when it is. I'm coming. I'm dunking.
Yeah, but we established a relationship with Walmart, with Wegmans. I mean, these companies are fantastic in town. With Christian from Dick's Sporting Goods, anytime he has anything that's left over in the store, he says, hey, do you have anybody that can use this? Yes, absolutely. We'll take it. So we try to spread the wealth and spread any resource that we can have. We try to utilize. So
I think one of, if not your favorite, the town's favorite is Night Out.
National Night Out. So that's Tuesday, August 6th. It's always a great event. It's either the third or the fourth year. Numbers are slipping my mind, but it's a great event. Last year, there was about 2,000 people that showed up. It was
great.
Madness, but we did a great job. Everybody had a great time. I don't think I heard anything negative about that.
I certainly didn't.
No.
It was fantastic.
It's a very, very, a lot goes into that.
Sure.
Really, we've been talking about National Night Out since probably February. A lot of resources, a lot of people go into it. You have the Department of Public Works, you have the DP, like I said, DPW guys, you have police, you have fire, you have EMS, you have all these different vendors that come from the Chamber of Commerce. I mean, it's a great event, and the overall goal is, again, to bridge the gap between the community and the police. So that's the goal of National Night Out.
And when you see the kids at National Night Out,
they love it.
It's just,
there's so many different things for them to do. There's free food. Everything is free. It's at Main Street. It's at the community center on Main Street. It's a great time, and people love it. I'm glad we do it here in Woodbridge, because every other town does it. And I think it's beneficial for me,
And nobody does it as well as we do.
No, absolutely not. With the resources and the people that support us, nobody does it better.
Right.
Nobody.
Exactly.
So
we have about 1 minute left.
Okay.
What would you like to sum it up as your?
Oh my God, I can talk.
Your favorite part of the job.
My favorite part of my job. My day is never the same. I think there's beauty in that. A lot of people work 9 to 5, and they go to work, they come home. They go to work, they come home. I have the ability to go out to meet new people every day, to establish bonds and relationships with new people that I've never met before, and just to see the progress of an elementary school kid go all the way up to college, and maybe even come and work with us side by side. That's to me, that's the best part of the job.
Yes.
Just being able to represent the police department. I grew up wanting to be a police officer my whole life, so it's really an honor to be able to go out and kind of be the face of it.
But you are,
yeah. I have a face for radio, but
you're doing all right here on TV.
Right? Okay, I'll take it. But that's the best part of it, is that I just get to go out and meet new people every day. That's it.
Well, thank you so much for being with us.
It's been a pleasure.
Truly, for everything that you do for the kids, the seniors, the families, and for the town.
My pleasure.
You and the whole police force are just fantastic.
Thank you so much.
So thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching Greenable Woodbridge, for being part of the excitement and part of the change.